So in Module 2, we're going to start talking about parallel and perpendicular lines, but in Section 1, we're going to just start with talking about parallels and transversals. So when we start with the definition of parallel lines, they are coplanar lines that do not intersect. And the symbol we use for parallel lines is just two vertical lines right next to each other. So if we're looking at our example here, we have three lines. We have lines PQ, RS, and PR. And we can say that line PQ is parallel to line RS since they do not intersect. There's also a symbol we can use to indicate parallel lines, and that's a little shaded in triangle on two lines. That would indicate that they are parallel, and typically they are shaded red to kind of stick out from the other lines as well. So that's how we know if two lines are parallel. Next, we can also have parallel planes. So similar to parallel lines, they are planes that do not intersect. So if I'm going to draw parallel planes, I have my first plane, we'll call plane A, and then I draw my second plane, plane B. And they don't intersect, and I could draw a line kind of going between them indicating that they're parallel. But similar concept, we can still use plane A is parallel to plane B to indicate that they don't intersect. Then lastly, we have something called skew lines, which are lines that do not intersect, but they are not parallel, which we'll see a little bit more about what that looks like in a little bit. They're more common in three-dimensional figures, not necessarily when we just draw lines in a plane, but we'll see that in a little bit. So in our first example, we're going to use this picture of a cube. So we want to name all planes that are parallel to plane AEF. So we want to identify that plane first. So say plane AEF. So remember, a plane contains 3 points that aren't collinear. So I'm basically talking about this plane right here, since it's the plane that contains all three of those points. So I want to find another plane that is parallel to it, so it doesn't intersect. So the most obvious plane I can see is the one directly across from it. That is going to be the plane that is parallel and to our plane AEF. So now we just have to figure out 3 letters to name it. So as long as I have 3 letters that aren't collinear, I'm fine. So I'm just going to go with B, H, and then G. This is the easiest way to name it. It is not the only way to name that plane, but it's the one I'm going to use. Next, we want to name all segments that intersect segment AF. So if we find segment AF right here, we want to figure out the segments that intersect it. So basically, from each endpoint of my segment, I want to name every segment. So starting from A, we have segments AD and AB. So AD and AB. Those are the only 2 segments that come off from F, and then from A, and then from F, we have segments FG and FE. So we have FG and FE. And those are all of the segments that intersect since they come off of each endpoint of our original segment, AF. Next, we want to name all segments that are parallel to segment DC. Let's go ahead and erase what I've highlighted so it's a little bit easier to see what we're talking about. All right, so if we find our segment DC, this is our segment. So parallel, so directly above it, directly across from it, and there are 2 lines. So first we have segment AB, and we also have our segment EH, both of which are parallel to DC. So we have AB and EH. Now is where we're going to take a look at skew lines. So we want to name all the skew segments that are skewed to AD. So we find segment AD. So remember, skew lines are lines that don't intersect but aren't parallel. So that automatically gets rid of segments B, C, and EF, which are parallel. So now I just want to find all of my other segments that don't intersect but aren't parallel. So such as FG and GH. We also have HC and EF. And we have EC here. And I think that's about it, because every other segment we have is either parallel or intersects with AD. So if we list those, we have FG, we have EC, we have EH, we have HC, and we have GH. So next, now that we've talked about parallel lines, we want to talk about a transversal, which is a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane at different points. So in our example here, we have our two lines AB, and the line that intersects it is line C. So we can say that line C is a transversal. There's really no symbol to intersect to indicate we have a transversal line. You just have to be able to identify the line that intersects the two lines you're given. So let's go ahead and look at an example where, given a transversal, I want to identify the pairs of lines that it intersects, basically. So first, we're going to look at line P. Okay, so we want to figure out the two lines that intersect. So one of them is pretty obvious since it's going through line T. So we have line T originally. But our second line isn't quite as obvious. But if I were to extend my line R and then I extend my line P, it would also intersect. So my second line is R. Next, we're going to take a look at line R. So line R, which is quite obvious since as I shade line R, it goes through two lines right away, which would be lines Q and line T. So next we're going to look at line Q, which as I highlight it, it goes through two lines right away. So it goes through lines R and T as well. So as we can see, we can have two different transversals that intersect the same two lines, because P and Q both intersect lines R and T. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at line T. So as I highlight line T, it actually goes through 1, 2, 3 lines, which is allowed because remember our definition says it intersects two or more. So I can't have more than two lines, which we have lines Q, R, and P. Okay. So the last thing we want to talk about is the types of angles that are formed by transversals intersecting two lines. And we're going to talk about more in section 2 if these two lines are specifically parallel and what kind of relationship that exists. But for right now, we have a transversal P intersecting our lines Q and R, and we've created 8 angles here. And there are specific names for each angle. So the first are what we call exterior angles. So when we define exterior angles, those are angles outside our two lines. And these are the two lines that are cut by the transversal. So if we're looking at our image here, the angles outside our two lines are angles 1 and 2 and 7 and 8. So angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and angle 8 are all exterior angles. Next, we're going to take a look at interior angles. Well, if exterior angles outside the two lines, interior angles are angles between our two lines. And again, these are the two lines cut by the transversal. So if we look, we have 4 angles between, which would be angles 3, 4, 5, and 6. So angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, and angle 6. So not only can we have exterior interior angles, we can also have relationships that exist. So we can have consecutive interior, alternate exterior, alternate interior, and then we have something called corresponding. So when we talk about consecutive interior, those are two interior angles on the same side. So 2 interior angles on the same side. And this would be on the same side of the transversal. So interior and then on the same side of the transversal. So angles 4 and 5 and then angles 3 and 6. So angle 4 and angle 5 are a pair of consecutive interior angles. And then angle 3 and angle 6 are another pair. Next, we have something called alternate exterior angles. So if we talk about alternate exterior angles, again, exterior, but they're going to be on opposite sides of our transversal. So it's 2 exterior angles on opposite sides. And then again, of the transversal, which I am not writing, but is coming after every single one of these statements. So if I look for exterior angles on opposite sides, I have angle 1 and angle 7. They're on opposite sides and they're exterior. And then we have angle 2 and angle 8. So angle 1 and angle 7 are a pair, and then angle 2 and angle 8. Then we have alternate interior angles, which is going to have a similar definition as exterior, except they're going to be 2 interior angles on opposite sides. So we have 2 interior angles on opposite sides. And this would be opposite sides of the transversal. So looking at our image, we have angle 4 and angle 6. And then our other pair would be angle 3 and angle 5. So angle 3 and angle 5, and then angle 4 and angle 6. And then our last definition is corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are angles in matching corners. So it doesn't actually have the transversal part. It's just angles in matching corners. So what that means is if I see angle 2, its angle in its matching corner would be on the opposite line, angle 6. Then if I have angle 1, its corresponding angle would be angle 5. It's in the same place but on the opposite line. We have angle 3, who has a corresponding angle 7. And then lastly, angle 4 has a corresponding angle of 8. So we actually have 4 pairs of angles for corresponding. We have angle 2 and angle 6. we have angle 3 and angle 7, angle 1 and angle 5, and then angle 4 and angle 8. And in the next section, we're actually going to talk more about these last 4 relationships and how they differ if our 2 lines are parallel. But again, for right now, you just have to be able to identify these types of angles, and we'll talk more about them in section 2. So now we're going to take a look at an example where we can use the definitions we just talked about. So we want to find the error. Kanisha and Eric are naming alternate interior angles in the figure at the right. One of the angles must be angle 4. We want to know who is correct and to explain our reasoning. So first we have Juanita, who says angles 4 and 9 and angles 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles. So we find angle 4, then we have angle 9 and angle 6. And then we have Eric, who says angles 4 and 10 and angles 4 and 5 are alternate interior. So then we find angle 10 and angle 5. So let's go ahead and give our 3 lines names so it's going to be easier to identify them. So let's just go with R, S, and T. It's pretty easy letters so we can identify the lines we're talking about. So if I'm going to treat line S as my transversal, and then R and T as my 2 lines, if I look, 4 and 10 fall on the same side of my transversal S. And then if I treat R as my transversal and S and T as my 2 lines, 4 and 5 fall on the same side of the transversal. So remember, alternate interior angles have to fall on opposite sides. So that means Eric is wrong because his angles are all consecutive interior. They're on the same side of the transversal and they're inside the other 2 lines. Now let's take a look at Juanita. So if we're looking at angles 4 and 9, S would be our transversal, and then 4 and 9, so that would make them on opposite sides, and then 4 and 9 would be interior to our lines R and T. If we take a look at angles 4 and 6, R would be the transversal to make them on opposite sides, and they're between our lines S and T. So we're going to say Juanita is correct. And then we can have a long reason. I pretty much just said it. It's a lot to write. So we can say because angle 4 and angle 9 are alternate interior with transversal S and lines R and T. Okay. And then similarly, we'll have an explanation where angle 4 and angle 6 are alternate interior with a transversal R and lines S and T. So right now you just have to be able to identify the types of angle relationships we talked about previously: exterior angles, interior angles, consecutive interior angles, alternate exterior angles, alternate interior angles, and corresponding angles. So that's all you have to be able to do right now. And then in section 2, we'll talk more about the relationships that exist for those types of angles.